I kind of begrudgingly respect just the dedication to not getting better at what you do for a living. Just coast through life.
It probably shouldn't even happen.
If you got it, you got to flaunt it, Acid.
You know what? I got a lot of stuff that I don't want to flaunt, and so I just keep it to myself.
Jeremy is really big into the used mattresses. That's an excellent deal.
He has a used mattress store on the side.
I'm not going to pull the pants down without the pants down cue.
And we found out that Anthony's friends are all 13-year-old boys. Nice.
Clay, how you doing?
Doing a little more poorly after that terrible introduction. I was just fine, to be honest with you.
Hello, Sci-Fi Gangsters. This is the show where we talk about science fiction, comic books, and video games. But really, it's just an excuse for me to catch up with my friends. I'm Anthony Denard, media scholar and person who would never make a joke about somebody else's wife. Now I wouldn't do it. I feel like it's necessary that we have to mention what happened during the Oscars because everybody is talking about it. There were sports shows that I listened to in the morning that were talking about it. I'm like, how is this related to sports? Yeah, the movie was about the Williams sisters, but and their father. But really, what does this have to do with things? It's just everybody wanted to talk about it. That's what it was. Everyone was looking for an excuse to talk about it. But yeah, Will Smith just decides to slap Chris Rock right across the face, and we were all shocked. And then it goes through waves where it's like people were condemning Will Smith, and then a bunch of people were condemning Chris Rock. Right? They were saying, "Oh no, Will Smith was right to do this, and anybody who disagrees with that is wrong." I'm like, this is the stuff that's going on Twitter right now. These are the conversations that people are having on Twitter now. So
the important stories, right?
Well, there you go. But so today's topic, we're not talking about slapping comedians across the face. We're talking about our topics for today. We have two actually. Create your dream fighting game. If you could create a fighting game, what would it be? And then the second topic is we're going to talk a little bit about the ESRB rating system. Does it matter anymore? Is it appropriate? Do parents care about it? We'll have a conversation about that. Before we get started, you can always check us out streaming live on YouTube. Typically, we like to be on Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. We stream live. You can always watch us live and contribute by posting comments and that sort of thing. You can also check us out on podcast form. So we'll record this. We'll put it into a podcast form wherever you get your podcasts, SciFiGangsters.com, on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast. So two ways to check us out. And you can always go to SciFiGangsters.com, right? That's always a good space. You can check out Will's articles that he posts on there. So definitely check that out. But once again, today's topics, we're talking about creating your dream fighting game. If you could create a game, how would you create? What would be a part of it? What would be the characteristic of this game? And then we'll talk about the ESRB rating system. But first, let's go ahead and get to our panel here today. Let's get to our guest, frequent guest of the show. Let's just go ahead and say friend of the show. We'll say friend of the show, CJ, aka MD Soul. CJ, how you doing?
I'm stinking awesome. Nothing to complain about today. And if I did, I'm pretty sure you would ignore me and say, get over it, dude. But all is well. Nothing to complain about, man.
Nothing to complain about. I would say, as long as you haven't been slapped across the face.
Right. Exactly.
Then I think you've had a pretty good day. Our next, of course, my co-host, Jeremy. Jeremy, how you doing?
Good. I'm a little under the weather, so my energy might be a hair low tonight. But yeah, I'm good.
A little under the weather. What's going on there?
I don't know, just a little fevery and some.
Wow.
Not COVID though. Got tested.
Do we need to
that's
jam a
good.
Q-tip?
Okay. Yeah, and touch your brain.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just normal stuff that goes around.
That's the thing. We're all starting to go back to normal, and we all start going back to normal. We just pass around the old school stuff, right? All the bugs, the stomach bugs, and all that kind of stuff. Flu, we're all getting sick again. I think that period when that first year with the pandemic, I didn't get sick for like a year and a half. Like I was completely healthy and didn't get sick at all because we were all contained. But I'm sorry to hear about that, Jeremy. You missed a hot date between me and Acidtrain. We went out. We went to a local Mexican restaurant. I had a margarita, a really good time, and we had a good dinner. And then, Jeremy, you were unable to attend that. Next, we have Acidtrain, the producer of the show. Acid, how you doing?
I'm doing spectacularly. It was nice to have a bro nights out. With the, of course, you had the margarita. I decided to go with the, just normal drink, non-alcoholic drink. But your food looked amazing, smelled amazing. Mine was a disappointment.
Oh yeah.
So
How real was the bromance? Did you try to, stick your finger in his food and eat some like a, oh, I don't want any.
He licked the cheese off my finger. It was real.
Oh,
real bromantic.
I wouldn't lick the cheese off of my wife's finger. That's disgusting. that's absolutely disgusting.
We split a dessert afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, no.
We shared. I had an extra straw, and we shared the margarita. Right.
Yeah.
Just like. So Lady in the Tramp style, right? We just get to the end of the margarita there. But yeah, I enjoyed my food. Acid, you didn't enjoy yours, but I enjoyed the company, right? I talked your ear off about Star Trek Online, and I'm going to talk a little bit about today. I talked about
Star Trek. That's pretty old. That's
old.
the early. They stopped early 2000s, right?
Yeah, it is actually it's still going on. It hasn't stopped.
Oh, it's still going?
Oh, they just brought out an expansion like a few months ago.
What?
Yeah, they had a new event.
Man. I must have been under a rock.
But so it's been around for like 12 years. But I remember when it first came out, I actually tried it, and I couldn't really get into it because I'm not a big PC gamer. So controlling everything with the keyboard, I try to learn how to do that. And as someone who has never grown up on the keyboard, like that takes a little bit of a learning curve. And
Right.
I couldn't get into it. But this is obviously the console version. So I was like, Star Trek Online, it's free, it's on the console.
Right.
I'll try it. And I think I'm all in. I think I'm all in on Star Trek Online. But we'll go ahead and get to our catch-up segment where we talk about what's new with us. And that's what I'm talking about here today. I'm talking about Star Trek Online. Here's the thing about Star Trek Online. It's not a perfect game. There's many things that there are legitimate complaints about the game. And of course, if you think about it as a game that's free to play, those complaints maybe are not that big of a deal. But the main complaints about the game, so I'll start with the negatives. Ground combat, so the away missions are very clunky. Like the fighting mechanics is very clunky. It's just not great. Other things that are not necessarily that great about it, I'll say some of the missions are kind of repetitive. And when you first begin, it's not particularly challenging. Although when you get into later missions, it does become a little bit more, there's more strategy involved. All right, so those are the main issues with Star Trek Online. And yes, there is a little bit of paywall on some things, but I was talking to you about this last night. There are so many, so obviously if you want to get a certain ship or something like that, you have to pay for it. But there are so many other ships that you don't have to pay for and that you can completely customize, that you can create a completely original looking ship that's free or you can earn it.
Right.
So let's talk about the positives of Star Trek Online. So if you're like me and you were a little kid who was a big fan of Star Trek and you imagined if you could create your own Star Trek TV show, who would be the characters, who would be the captain, who would be the bridge crew, what would your ship look like? Of course, when I was a kid, I used to draw my ship. Like I would design my own starship. I would give it a name and I would sort of play out the scenarios. Like what would this TV show be about? That sort of thing. And that was a big part of my childhood. I loved imagining that. This is what Star Trek Online is. Like 12-year-old me would never put down the controller for Star Trek Online because in many ways it's all about pretending that it's your own Star Trek TV show that you are playing through. Because not only can you completely customize your main character, right? And I mean completely customize. the alien's race, obviously the gender, but just the skin color and everything. And it
doesn't do like Cyberpunk, does it?
I don't know because I don't know.
Cyberpunk, they have jiggly bits when you get to choose your gender. They definitely do jiggly bits. I'll make sure they don't do jiggly bits on Star Trek.
Slider.
There's no jiggly bits. There are now you can't completely make it. Obviously, there are limitations to the graphics of Star Trek Online, but it's a free-to-play game. But anyways, you could customize the uniform. So of course, I made an original Starfleet uniform for my ship, and everyone in my crew is wearing the same uniform. Of course, I'm doing that.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
So I did that. You could completely customize your bridge crew. Obviously, you recruit people, they give you people, and then you can customize them to how you want them to look. You can give them new names. But what really makes it great is you can customize your ship. And yes, there are certain additions to your ship that you have to pay for, but a lot is free. And if you mix and match, so for example, you have the ship and you can change the saucer, the neck, the body, and then the nacelles. And I think you can even do like the thing that the nacelles are on, and you can customize every one of those components that you can make a whole new ship. It's a completely original ship. So, and some of the missions, like the new one, they had this new one where Redshift, where they actually have Kate Mulgrew, and she voices, and the storyline is pretty cool. It's a mirror universe Kate Mulgrew, who's like has a Borg implants and that sort of thing.
What word are you saying for her last name?
Kate Mulgrew. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
It's Mulgrew, isn't it?
Mulgrew.
Oh, it is Mulgrew.
Yeah.
Mulgrew. Okay. Yeah. So Mulgrew. So obviously Captain Janeway, right? So there's actually a bunch of cameos and like Easter eggs and a lot of the storylines. Like they brought back who's the girl, the V'ger girl, in the original series, the V'ger girl. Yeah,
from the motion picture.
She has a part in the new storyline somehow.
Really?
So there's a lot of like Easter eggs and there's a lot of like fun stuff.
So how does that work with the timeline? Like how can you have Janeway?
She's an android.
That's new if it is. Well, okay. So they're saying the version of her that V'ger created, not the actual lieutenant. Okay.
She's a hyper futuristic android. But anyways, that's not important. There's a lot of Easter eggs. There's a lot of great voice acting from a lot of Star Trek actors. And some of the storyline is kind of entertaining. Like it's fun. It's almost like, maybe this is the best analogy. Rather than a TV show, it's like reading a Star Trek novel that you are a part of.
Oh.
That you customize.
Ooh.
That's all I'm going to say about Star Trek Online. Because I can go all day talking about this.
No, it seems like you're super excited about it.
I'm into it. It's fun
all the way. You're all in.
I'm looking forward to, and there's countless stuff to do because obviously it's been going on for 12 years and I just started. So it's divided into episodes. So I have some games to play. Well, let's go ahead and get to you, CJ. That's enough about Star Trek Online. Let's do with you.
This episode not sponsored by Star Trek Online.
Right. That was a whole sponsor.
But should be, yeah. Give us a call.
So I'm playing two games right. Well, let's rewind. The very first thing is I got picked up for the as the Army esports team manager for the FGC. So there's a lot of stuff going on with that. And I'm trying to get some things going. So we got Soul League, Acid was involved with Soul League before, and we had lots of fun with that. But with that being said, the game that I'm picking up right now and trying to learn is King of Fighters 15. It's pretty decent. It's not a bad game. And then the other one I'm playing is Grand Theft Auto 5. I've never beat Grand Theft Auto 5, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
And so that's one of my goals. And then the last game, so I'm rotating 3 games, sort of kind of fighting games. I don't really call it focused on one because I like them all. But the other game that I'm trying to get through is No More Heroes. That's one of the Nintendo's more violent and more disgruntled video games. And I'm enjoying it thoroughly. I mean, it's a GTA style game. It's like a cross between Afro Samurai and Grand Theft Auto and a futuristic time with, he has to go through a whole rank of guys and kill them to become number one. And then you go on to the next game. So there's 3 games. And so in order for me to get to the third one, I got to play every single one. I got it on the Switch. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Well, fantastic. Seems like you got a lot of new games. Are you also competing in Code Breaker? Is that what it's called? Code Breaker?
Combo Breaker.
Combo Breaker. There you go. Are you also competing in?
No, I'm going there solely to network and cheer on my team, cheer on Acid, and buy cool new stuff. I think one of the goals here within that networking, because there's so many stipulations when it comes to the Army. Like, in a way, technically, I'm not supposed to say anything because they're like, well, you're using the Army's name to get views and subscribers. No. That's not what I'm doing. It just gives you credibility. More than it is. Does
the Army give you more views?
No, absolutely not. It gives you more headaches. But the thing that everybody's looking for more specifically is they're looking for the credibility to put on the resume. Hey, I've been on a gaming team, and that's for me. That's what I'm looking for, the experience more than it is the point. Because of course I love to play, but shoot, I'll be 40 in 3 years, and it's like, yo, freaking, I got to transition into a different role to still be involved with something that I love, even if I'm not able to compete. So boom, there it is on your resume. You've been a team manager. So now other teams are looking at you and saying, hey, you did this, and this for this many people. Let's bring you on board. And that's kind of what I'm looking for in this, because I know it's not going to last realistically, it's not going to last forever. Everything has to come to an end. And then for that matter, if I wanted to do it for myself and come up with my own team, I have this in my hand. If I want to come up with my own team, I can, because I've gained experience in growing pains through something else. So,
well, it sounds like you guys are going to have a fun time at Combo Breaker, cheering on Acid as he gets eliminated in the first round.
Probably.
I'm hoping not, man. We've been working here and there trying to figure out, hey, what's working for you, what's not working for you, and we're and I'm trying to help them out there. I think the thing is, because this is a regular trip for me, and the bro that I normally go with, he's not able to go. So, but it's always a bro trip for me. But I think the thing is, like, if we make it more of a bro trip with Acid and then my other friend and all that good stuff, it'd be easier to know what we're practicing for a year in advance versus having, all right, we only got 3 months to get ready. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the answer. And COVID it really did a number on everybody going to these events. I mean, it's at the end of the day, Combo Breaker, it's still a con. It's just a competitive con. It has all the cool knickknacks and all the video game stuff out there. Yeah. So it's like, why not just go out there and have a good time with my friends, Well,
and they went all out this time. I was looking at all the tournaments that they're going to have, and I feel like it's every fighting game that's ever existed. They're doing a tournament. Just about, and that's not including all the. Granted, I'm not going to party. I might look young, but I'm just not there. But they have all sorts of concerts and a little shindig after parties and stuff. They have drinks in the venue, so you can drink and play your fighting games or watch. It's almost like the freaking going to the super. I wouldn't call it the Super Bowl. This is more like I would say like the Orange Bowl. It's not quite the Super Bowl, but it's still pretty big. But I think I think it's that equivalent, and you just go grab yourself a beer, go grab yourself a cocktail, sit back, cheer on your favorite fighting game team, fighting game person, have a drink and have a good time. And that's what I'm about. I'm like, you only live once, and I'm going to live it the way I want to,
Fantastic. You only YOLO once, as I say. It just sounds like you're just describing a con. You're describing Dragon Con, but in a video game style.
I still gotta do that. I gotta do Dragon Con and DreamHack, and there's quite a few of them I still haven't gone to. I need to catch up.
Well, excellent. Let's go ahead and get to Jeremy. What's new with you, buddy, pal?
Not a whole lot. So I still haven't started playing Star Trek Online. As we talked about, I am slightly concerned that I will become addicted and it will eventually ruin my life.
That's what WoW did to me. So
Yeah, WoW did that to a lot of people. Like I saw it firsthand
Yeah.
with one of my friends. So I am
Really, it's like WoW, but it's Star Trek. Like it just like
Wow,
It
it's
is.
Star Trek.
it's like WoW, but with
it's World of
everything you
Warcraft,
love about
but
Star Trek
sci-fi.
involved.
Imagine
So
if there was a StarCraft MMO and all that was all Star Trek stuff.
I would like StarCraft MMO. That would be nice.
It-
And so it does at any
good.
moment does someone go Leroy Jenkins at any
You
moment.
can have
it
those
does-
Leroy Jenkins moments, definitely.
Yeah.
What else, Jeremy? What else is new?
So I guess I have watched a new movie that I liked. It's called The Last Duel. It's Ridley Scott. It's the same story told from three different perspectives. And it's Matt Damon. Oh man, what's the guy's name? I can't think of his name.
But what is the movie called again?
The Last Duel.
Wow.
It's I mean the guy who's all over the place now. Anyway, Kylo Ren, whatever the actor's name
Oh
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's worth checking out.
It's a medieval movie, right?
Yeah. It's about kind of two friends and this thing that comes between them, and yeah, it's worth checking out. It's on HBO Max. I think.
I was on HBO Max. I might have to check this out then. Well, fantastic. All right, so it seems like you watched a good movie and you're getting over your sickness, Jeremy. I hope you're doing well. But yes, go ahead and move on to Acid. Acid, what's new with you?
One of the greatest things happened this past weekend.
I don't know.
And I have been donated a brand new fight stick.
Oh yes, show it. I need to see it.
Wait, so you've been donated? What does that mean?
I had a view. Actually, one of my really good friends, who is a supporter of my fighting game, if you want to call them abilities. I don't really call them abilities. I just call them button mashing abilities. Decided to help me with the tournament, and also with that came a brand new fight stick. It is called the Quamba Dragon.
Yes.
It is the most expensive fight stick on the that I know of. I mean, CJ, you could probably back me up on this. The thing,
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
The thing weighs like 13 pounds or 12 pounds or somewhere around this area. It is the heaviest fight stick out there right now. But anyway, I've got it right here. You can see a little bit of it.
Ooh, that's gorgeous.
But this is it. I replaced the stick with a back top. It came with a silver.
Oh yeah,
ball
that's
top,
nice.
But I prefer the back
Oh.
top. Like I said, this thing is just super heavy.
That is a sexy looking stick. I will tell you that.
There it is.
That's what she said.
Yeah. This
As
came out about
As a
5
sturdy
years ago.
joystick.
It's about 5 years.
5 years. Wow.
So when it first came out, now that I've crunched all my cords here, when it first came out, there was no way to customize artwork on this thing, just because the plexi is black, it's solid black. So you have to get new plexi for it in order to display any artwork. So now, of course, they have plexi and all that kind of stuff that you can get for it. But the best feature about this stick is its customization on stick and buttons and all that. It just lifts up like a trunk, and it's got a little trunk light in there, and it's got a little mat that you can put your screwdriver and your screws in and all that kind of. But anyway, it's super sweet. So I was very thankful that
yes.
my best friend get me this. So
Yo, that's freaking incredible. I love it.
Well, I hope you have some fun times playing with your joystick, Acid. Definitely keep practicing as much as possible with that thing as your daughter comes in. Fantastic. Excellent. But good to good.
They're going to
good
bed. I have them by myself tonight. My wife is having a girls' night right now. So
girls' night out,
girls'
baby.
night out. So
All
they're
right.
enjoying a bottle of wine somewhere.
Oh,
Very good.
Probably each, if I had to guess.
each.
Well, very
each.
good. Sometimes
Yeah.
you just got to drink, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get to our main topic for tonight, and that is create your dream fighting game.
Dream
Well, if you
fighting
could
game.
create your own game, what would you? How would you define this type of game? So this is actually kind of an interesting question because Acid, you proposed this topic for today, and I actually, as a younger man, I actually thought about this a lot. If I could create my own fighting game, what would it be? And it would be sort of like, and nowadays it's becoming more and more like this, where you see like different popular cultural icons popping up in other video games. So like
Right.
Mortal Kombat, you have the Terminator and RoboCop fighting. But I always thought it'd be kind of cool. And of course, this would probably not happen because of licensing issues, because you get into a lot of issues with that. But nowadays, it seems like that is becoming less and less of a situation.
Yeah, that's the normal.
Yeah, I don't know why that is the case now. Maybe it's because everything there's a consolidation of intellectual property going on, right? Or if it's just because it's easy to find deals where you're like, okay, we'll use your intellectual property in our game, but we'll give you a little bit of the sales or something like that. I don't know what happens with that, but I always thought it'd be kind of cool to have a fighting game where it's basically like a sword fighting game. And you had different characters from different popular cultural worlds. So like, for example, think about all the characters who use a sword. So when I was younger, I was like, okay, well, we can have a Power Ranger. We can have a Ninja Turtle. We can have He-Man, and we can have Lion-O. There's 4 characters right there.
That's right off the bat. Yeah, I'm visualizing this right now. I see where you're going with this.
So it's an 80s/90s kind of world where you have a Power Ranger who could fight a Thundercat, which could fight He-Man, which could fight a Power Ranger.
Who would be your primary focus on this one? Like Ryu is the primary focus, Liu Kang is primary. Who would be that primary character for your game there? And then would you have like if you had He-Man as a primary, would Conan the Barbarian be like his rival, like Ken and Ryu?
That would be good. So Conan would be a good. I think you would do it sort of like I hate to say Mortal Kombat situation, but you would do it to where like you'd have some sort of entity that brought them in from different worlds, and you'd say, all right, now I want you to fight each other, and you can kind of do a storyline around that. But I always thought it'd be kind of cool to bring these different characters together, where you have a theme, not just bringing in like, oh, I like this character, I like this character, but you had a theme that connected them, and that the theme for this video game would be a sword fighting game. Like the whole mechanics of fighting would be around the sword fight. So you would have to make sure that you have characters where the sword is a big part of their character. So obviously He-Man has a sword, Lion-O has a sword, Power Ranger, Power Ranger, he has a sword. Obviously, like Leonardo has a sword, and you can kind of base it around that. But that's basically like the makeup of this particular game. Where would you
put people with some sort of kind of sword in there, like a Jedi? It's a sword, but it's not a sword.
That's interesting.
Does that count?
Yeah, I'm wondering about that, because then you get into the issue. It's almost like you would have to pick, although Power Rangers is pretty big, Ninja Turtles is pretty big, but Star Wars is maybe too big. Like you'd probably need to stay away from the properties that are so big that it sort of like eclipse the other characters. Right. Almost like you'd have like Lion-O, right, is sort of a cult thing. Right. Maybe Power Rangers, you could argue, is pretty big. Ninja Turtles is actually pretty big too. But even the Ninja Turtles is kind of cultish, right? So like Star Wars is so mainstream that maybe it kind of defeats the purpose of having these characters.
So the question I would have then is, would it be cartoon or 3D? Because someone like Finn from Adventure Time, he has a sword, he might be a good fit, but I don't know if he translates well 3D. So would you like, man, forget it, I don't care if it's 3D or not, if they fit well in 3D or not, we're doing it 3D, or you just like, no, let's make it more cartoony?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess you could make it cartoonish, right? So you could do like a more of a 2D, like a 2D/3D thing where it's like a 2D, but then like they're in a 3D
Okay, I'll buy
environment
that.
kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So but perhaps you could do that as well. That'd be kind of fun. Almost like a Marvel versus Capcom 2, not 3, because it's definitely more 3D, but like 2, you kind of do that situation. But yeah, that's kind of just, yeah.
I would buy that.
That'd be kind of fun, right? By the way, there's a new Power Ranger fighting game that's coming out soon. Like, as you could play all the different types of Power Rangers.
Yeah, it's Power Rangers. It's been out for a second. Power Rangers.
It's been out for a while. Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
they just released their last. I think it's their last edition. It's Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, and they're bringing all these Power Rangers. They have Draco, the evil green and white Ranger, kind of fused into one person. Really, really cool character. So that's a really good one. Another good guy would be on there would be Trunks from Dragon Ball Z. I think that'd be a really cool character to be on there. He has a sword, tear things up. Yeah, I think you're onto something here. Maybe you need to get with Arc System or someone and like, yo, this is gonna make you money.
There you go. Maybe you could have Snake Eyes. That'd be kind of fun.
Wow, yeah. That's another one. Like G.I. Joe it doesn't necessarily overshadow that one thing, but Snake Eyes wouldn't like if you had Kylo Ren in that game, you're like, oh man, it's a Star Wars game now. Let's bring out. But if you just had someone from like Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe joining, I think that'd be good. That'd be really good. I'll buy that definitely. I'd definitely buy that game.
Well, cool. Well, CJ, let's hear what you have to say. What's the video game? What should be your ideal video game? Dream video game.
Dream an ideal video game. It'd be very colorful, but not to the point where you're having seizures or anything like that right now. Dragon Ball FighterZ, I know there's a lot of people that like it, but I just have a hard time keeping up with it sometimes. I don't know if it's because I'm old, or not, but I really enjoy just colorful games. The next part of that is I would have a system very similar to Tekken or Mortal Kombat, because right now, when it comes to games like Street Fighter, King of Fighters, the buttons don't respond the same way like in Tekken, where it's like each button is a limb of someone's body and it responds when you push the button. Where Street Fighter, there's a little pattern you have to put in there in order for it to work, and not everybody's able to get that pattern. And I'd rather not play a game like that. And then I think they would have a lot. You see, they're acid. And then I think I would also throw in there a lot of gameplay modes. I think one of the biggest things with fighting games right now is everybody wants to be competitive, but everybody needs to realize they can't be competitive and make sure there's a whole lot more modes. So I'll give you an example of Tekken 3. We all remember Tekken 3. And if you had it for the PlayStation, you had Tekken Ball mode, you had Tekken Survival mode, you have Team Battle, you had all these different modes that were in Tekken. So I would like for there to be a whole lot of different modes. And then lastly, customization. One thing that I love about Injustice 2, which Mortal Kombat 11 also adopted, is customization to make your character yours, and then the next part of that is being able to pull that character up in a tournament to kind of let people know I've actually been working on it. It's not really a pay to play per se, because a lot of people, like, there's a lot of games out there that are like that, but it's more so like, no, I earned this particular perk, I earned this particular costume, and nobody owns this combination of costume, and it will make people want to be more invested in that game. And I think Injustice, it had a very cult following. Same thing with Tekken 7 in the customization there, and I think that many more people. So something as small as, hey, I like this particular outfit, or I like this outfit combination, will keep them playing, because it's kind of what we were talking about earlier before we got on here. It's something that I can relate to. I love King because I love wrestling. I relate to King, and then I get to dress him up any way I want to. Really, really cool. And I think I would incorporate that in my game, that I would utilize. I think the only thing that I'm not too sure of is the the style of fighting that would be in there, because I don't want to go in there and go all unga bunga and stuff like that and just make up a fighting style. That I want something that's well vested in. Again, no different than Tekken, or for that matter, Soul Calibur. There's a lot of studies with the weapons that they're utilizing, and I think there needs to be I think the game needs to be studied on. Whereas with Mortal Kombat, there's a lot of, what is that? That is not karate, man. What move is that? So there's a whole lot of stuff that I would incorporate in there just in the customization alone. And then if you could, in the very, very last thing with that customization, it's I would want the game to start out with, like, it's not about, hey, this is a 32-man roster. No, you start off with that one character and you add to their perks and all their move set as you move along. Hey, I finally acquired the fireball because I put in X amount of time into the game. Okay. I deserve that. Now you need to figure out how to stop me from using this fireball, even though you don't have it right now. I think that would add an element to the game that a whole lot of other games don't have, where people will keep on playing the game so that they can get that particular perk or that next level thing.
All right, well, fantastic. Seems like a game that I would be interested in, definitely, right? Customization is always good.
Yeah, you just love the customization in Star Wars. Not Star Wars. Oh, I'm sorry.
Star Trek. Come on, man.
Don't hurt me. You know what?
There he goes. He's gone. He's out of here. All right, let's go ahead and move on to Jeremy. If you could create your dream fighting game, what would it be?
So I will admit to not having put a ton of thought into this.
Sure.
So like if I'm going to play a fighting game, it's going to be something like Injustice 2 or like Mortal Kombat 11, I guess. I don't know, 10 or 11, whatever the last one that I played, Acid, that I talked to you about, where there's a lot of story, and the fighting sequences, in like the main campaign are essentially used to advance the story. So that's what I want, but I want it set in the Highlander universe. So kind of from the beginning, you have a lot of story, you have your various fights up to whichever McLeod you're playing, eventually winning the prize. And yeah, I don't necessarily care about any other fighting modes or whether anyone else would want to play this game. I just want the Highlander story.
Well, very good.
It's a freaking good story, though.
We can do a little crossover, because I need, maybe a Highlander would fit in my game. He has a sword, right? Put him in there with Leonardo.
And throw a whole bunch of customization. Highlander is about absorbing the power, and then you would be able to customize that move set there.
Yeah,
that'd be freaking cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'd buy that one.
Yeah, and you have different fighting styles with different characters depending on where they're from. And
oh yeah,
very good. Well, excellent. Let's go ahead and move on to Acid, your dream fighting game. Go.
I'm a huge Mortal Kombat guy, so it would definitely be within the style of Mortal Kombat, especially combo wise.
Which one though?
It kind of a mix anywhere between 9 and 11, somewhere around in that era. Early's great too, but early was. It's just really simplistic, and that's great in itself. But if you want a little more complex, anywhere from like 9 to 11, that's kind of where I'm going. The graphics on 11 are by far the best, as far as the gore and the fluidity of the actual game itself. Like I played 10 for a little while and enjoyed it, but it was still. When you compare the two together, it was a little more clunky, but it still made sense, but it was a little more clunky.
It was still clunky. I don't disagree.
But like I also love, and it's technically a fighting game genre, Streets of Rage. I would love to see some type of game that realistic those types of graphics in a Streets
A
of
beat 'em
Rage
up?
type beat 'em up, yeah. But to have that
Oh.
also as a mode, so like if Mortal Kombat you have your fighting game mode, you have your storyline, all that good stuff.
Yeah, Tekken did that with Tekken Force mode for a second, and they took it away.
And do that, and just you have this nice little
that'd be cool.
scrolly beat 'em up, and
Or do another Shaolin Monks.
just remake it. Just remake.
Yeah.
Shaolin.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would also, I'm kind of with you on the customization and the building up your character that CJ was talking about. But I would like to see, one of my favorite racing games of all time was Need for Speed Most Wanted back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? I think Xbox 360, PlayStation 3,
I know exactly what you're
where
talking
you
about.
would take your basic guy in your basic car and you upgrade and you continue to upgrade. I kind of like that style, kind of like maybe like I don't want to say like gladiator mode, but like kind of like an arena mode where you create your character and you start super basic,
right?
And you keep building on that guy as a single player mode, not as a multiplayer mode. Like I would want to keep that single player, just kind of, and then have your list of characters for multiplayer and that kind of stuff too. So, but again, with as far as the graphics are concerned, keep it that more realistic Mortal Kombat style. I love the Street Fighter style artwork. The Tekken, I know you're a big Tekken guy. Can't stand the graphics in Tekken. Like
what?
It's just awful. They're terrible. The graphics themselves are clunky. Which I've been playing it recently and I really enjoy the game.
Right.
It's not visually appealing. Like it's
just, I get you on that. Yeah.
And then other games, like I just got what's it? Grand Blue.
Yes, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. Yeah,
I got it, and it's visually appealing. I kind of like
it's
that
very pretty
style. So, but yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on.
They have sword customization in that game too.
They do have sword customization. Yeah.
Well, very good. 4 fantastic video games to play, right? All great quality games. All right, well, very good. There was our dream fighting games that we just created. Let's go ahead and move on to our second topic for today, our final topic. We're talking a little bit about ESRB, the rating system. Do these even matter anymore? And what I want to do is I actually want to start off with the video game experts first, right? And we'll kind of go in the opposite direction here. So, Asa, I want to go ahead and start off with you. This is your topic, so I'm interested to hear, what do you think? Do these matter anymore?
Many moons ago, in the early 2000s, I worked at a little mom and pop shop called GameStop. And I was an assistant manager and then eventually got promoted to manager there. Of course, part of your training, ESRB training, which is, you look at all these, what they mean, how to sell these. People ask, this is what you tell them, all this kind of stuff. So, of course, when you scan in a retail setting, I think that's still true today. When you scan in a mature or older rating, so I think adult only is the next step up, which there's not many of those. A little window pops up on your screen that says, please check ID. Customer must be 18 years of age or older. Of course, we live in Alabama, which ESRB at the time, I don't know if it's changed. ESRB at the time, it did say 18, but in the state of Alabama, we had to card for 19. You had to be 19 years of age in order to purchase a mature rated game.
That extra year is so very important, right? That's when you become a real adult.
But the best thing, and it was the dumbest thing too, because you'd see it all the time, especially around the holidays or any type of birthday gift. Little granny Cecil will come in, or whoever, and they'll be, my grandson wants a new Christmas game and he wants to buy Grand Theft Auto, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. How old is your grandson? Oh, he's 6. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that game is rated mature. And of course you explain that to them, like, this game has a lot of violence and nudity, and it's made for 18 years of age and older. Oh, well, he said it would be okay. And I'm like, and you're going to listen to your 6-year-old. It's like, that's fantastic. So Grandma Cecil ends up buying the game anyway and lets them have Grand Theft Auto at 6 years old. Happened all the time. All the time. The best ones were when the 8 to 10-year-olds would come up with mature rated games and try to buy them themselves. And of course you can't sell it to them. So they run and get, a parent or whoever. And the parents always like, yeah, just whatever. Just sell it. It's fine. Like they don't even care. They don't even want to hear the explanation. They just want to shut little Johnny up and move on about their day. So, as an opinion for this gamer, the ESRB is useless.
Is it? So I'm going to be the guy that goes the opposite direction, and say there's a point to it, because that's like saying the system that they have for movies and music is no good. Is it out of date? Yeah. Are there no precautions or additional steps for those things? Yeah, absolutely. Because little Johnny, he's also going to listen to, whatever murderous music that's out there, whether it's country, hip hop, or death metal. He's going to get a hold of it in some form or fashion. But it's important to have it there, so at least the parents, they can't sue. I think it protects the companies in general. No different than it says hot coffee on the side of McDonald's. Like, duh, the coffee's hot. I knew that, but they have to put it on there to protect themselves. So I think it's necessary to protect the company as a whole, because again, you're bringing up Cyberpunk again. Mm-hmm. Imagine your 6-year-old saying it's just Cyberpunk. It's a futuristic Grand Theft Auto. And me as a dad that remembers Grand Theft Auto, that's like, yeah, okay, cool. Do Grand Theft Auto. And in the very first part of the customization, you see a giant wank right there in the middle of the screen, or a very busty woman, in the middle, just butt naked. It's like, whoa. I didn't know that. So at least when you're buying that game, you know what to expect. Or same thing with Mortal Kombat. I remember that. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why we have this daggone thing, because of Mortal Kombat, right? Yep. And imagine someone saying, hey, this is just Street Fighter, or this is just, whatever playful game, colorful, beautiful, nice looking game. There's Wolverine fighting Cyclops. Everybody likes Marvel superheroes, right? There's not a big deal, but as soon as you see someone's head get ripped off, and it caught you by surprise. I mean, we were just playing the other night, and I'm used to playing. I was like, oh my God, I forgot how gory this game is. So I think it's still necessary, but not to the extent to stop somebody from purchasing the game.
America is lazy. I mean,
yeah, we absolutely are.
Let's just go ahead and get that out there. And I say that to say this. We're so lazy that we don't care what, even like as me personal consumer, like I personally don't care what the rating is. If I want it, I'm going to grab it. I'm not looking at that for me, and nor would any other adult. They're going to buy what they're going to buy. Food, they're going to buy what they're going to buy. I don't care how many calories it is, I don't care, I've got this keg. I've been working on it for years, and it's going to stick around for a while. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. But as a parent, and I, of course, I worked in retail and did all this. So of course I'm going to look at it. And there are now, like you said, there are more preventative ways. Like, your phones, you can set up the parental controls and all that stuff. But how many parents are actually doing this for their kids? I drive a school bus for a living. Okay.
And they're definitely not.
They're not. Nope, not at all. Porn, all kinds of stuff are on these kids' phones. Oh. And it's ridiculous. The parents don't care. They don't care. And then they
just want the kid to shut up.
Failing out of school. It's shocking, really.
He's sharpening the wrong pencil.
Yeah, exactly. And so 125 million Americans are gamers. I'll look this up. That's half America. And like 350 million?
Yeah,
population wise. Yeah. 125 million Americans have, when I say gamers, they have played a video game. They know what they know what it is. those 125 million people have played a game.
It makes sense if we include casual games,
Right, whether it be
right? It makes
casual,
mobile games.
Right, mobile games,
hardcore,
right.
any kind of game whatsoever. Of course, a lot of that's probably attached to mobile games, which I totally get. It's fine. So are all these people looking at ESRB ratings? I mean, all the games on your phone,
Right, because the mobile games have them on there too.
Yeah, they're right there. Are they looking at those? Probably not. But I mean, you have to keep scrolling to find the ESRB ratings on a mobile game. Like, it's not right there in your face. It's like, oh, Crash Bandicoot, that's great. What if Crash Bandicoot had a dong slider? You'd never know. You have to scroll down a little more to figure that out.
So I guess my other thing would be, it's like, because like the standard of what's mature and what's not mature has grown quite a bit, whether it's backwards or forward. Very similar movies, like RoboCop was PG-13. I'm pretty sure it get rated R because of how gory it is right now. If I went back and watched it not too long ago, RoboCop is very gory, like brains were exploding and all sorts of stuff. I think that would be rated R right now. Or vice versa, because cursing, like, it doesn't phase us anymore. So a movie back in the 80s that had a lot of cursing in it would probably be PG-13 now. Mm-hmm. So I guess it just depends, because at this point the only game that I probably wouldn't get my kids is something that has that adult rating. The mature doesn't really mean a lot. It's just, prepare your heart for some nonsense. But like, as long as it doesn't have like a sex scene, like showing full, like, you're going at it type sex, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I mean, look at Valhalla is supposed, it has they're two gay Vikings. Not a big deal. I don't care, but 1990 something they did, like, hey, that should definitely be an adult rating. Why? Because there's gay Vikings. I'm like, okay, whatever. You can shove it, but now nobody cares,
Well, they are shoving it.
Well, right. Technically, yes. But no, I'm with you on that. It's just I
should apologize for that, John.
I have been shocked twice now. Right. Once from what happened to the Oscars.
So quick question. Ed. So while we're on that, it kind of like appropriate, because it kind of all relates. It's like, what's an appropriate joke? What's not? What's appropriate amount? What's the appropriate amount of blood before it's too much blood? Because like Chris Rock, I thought the joke was funny. It was a funny joke, but she didn't think so. Now there's this divide between men and women saying, well, he should have defended his wife, and another group are saying I shouldn't defend. So the same rules apply when it comes to a video game. What's defined too much? So if we have this ESRB rating, what is too much in 2000 and the year of our Lord 2022? What is too much?
Yeah, this is such a hard question to answer, right? In terms of, as a parent, you sort of have a particular opinion, right? Obviously, you want to protect your kids against potentially harmful images, right? A lot of times, Victor sees things like because I'll watch TV shows or films, or like I'm playing video games where there's violence, and I always have to have a conversation with them, and like, this is not real, like this is make believe and everything, and he gets it. Like I feel like a lot of times, and this comes with a lot of moral panics around video games. There's this assumption, there's this belief that if we get exposed to violent media, that we will become automatically violent.
Right? Yeah,
because it does have a little bit of face validity, right? So in other words, if I watch a kung fu movie, afterward, like if I watch it with my son, we watch a kung fu movie. After the movie is done, we kind of want to fight a little bit, right? Right. So it has a lot of face validity, but when you actually study it, you notice that it doesn't really have any long-term effects. And the reason for this is because we as human beings, and even kids, they can compartmentalize what's going on. Exactly. They completely understand that it's just a video game, that is just make-believe. And a lot of times we assume that they can't do that, and we are attempting to protect them from that. Now, as a parent, I also am a little conflicted by this, because yes, I want my kid just to be a kid, and I want to sort of protect him.
Right.
And I don't want to expose him to harmful images if I don't if I don't have to. But I mean, in today's environment, a friend's going to show it to him on the bus. Like he's going to find. I remember when I was a kid, like some of the stuff that I saw when I was very young, right? I would be shocked if my son saw these kind of things, right?
Right.
But it's part of life. It's part of growing up. And a lot of this concern about what what violent video games can do, or what violent films can do, or if we talk about heavy metal music, right? The 1990s was a big moral panic,
Right. Yeah,
because
absolutely.
there was this growing concern. I mean, this is when you start to really see like school shootings start to take off, right? And there's this growing concern of, how, like, what do we need to do in order to solve this problem? And I'm not going to get into politics, right? But rather than than potentially addressing, well, how do we limit who gets guns and how they have access to this? We say, no, the problem is video games. It's hard rock music. It's these violent TV shows, and that's the culprit. And we point the fingers at something, and
because we don't want to take responsibility for it.
And also,
because not one of you guys are black guys with do-rags and bandanas because you listen to, NWA back in the early 90s. Not one of you guys are thugs right now at all. And that was a big stink during that time.
Exactly. So hip hop music is another great example of that. Gangster rap is another example of that. It's sort of like this panic of, what is this doing to us as a society, right? And we could talk about the artistic element to hip hop rock and sort of like its protest element and everything. We can talk about all that. But oftentimes we try to oversimplify the problem by pointing to one thing. Yeah. Rather than actually dissecting it and looking at it as a complex issue, right? So the Columbine shooters didn't shoot up the high school because they were listening to Marilyn Manson music and they were playing video games. Right. That wasn't the reason why they did that. It's far more complex than that. And rather than actually addressing it and talking about ways that we could probably help with mental illness, how we can actually implement policies that would help against this, what we say is, well, let's point the fingers at something. And in this particular instance was video games and Marilyn Manson music. This is the cause. And we needed to find a way to mitigate. And that's not saying that there aren't positives of labeling video games, right? There's most certainly a benefit of saying this is a more mature video game and this is E for everybody. There's definitely a benefit of having these labels, right? But oftentimes we try to point to various media, right? Whether it's a video game, whether it was back in the day in the 1920s, comic books, right? Or whatever it is. Now it's smartphones, right? These kids, they can't stop looking at their smartphones, right? We always point to something and we say, this is the problem. This is what's actually hurting society, rather than really dissecting, and actually creating solutions to the
and then it's on top of that, it's subjective, right? Because Wolfenstein, it has the SWAT sticker labeled all over that, but there's a lot of places in Europe they're like, no, that game's banned. There's a lot of games in Europe that are American made that's like, no, it's banned, but it's subjective, because we're like pro-America. The American way is to kill anything that looks remotely going against anything communist, anything like that. The big controversial one that was 10 years ago was Call of Duty, the airport stage. Oh gosh, and you just mow down all the people there. There were certain countries that were like, no, we're not freaking doing that, because again, it's subjective. If it's their opinion of what they want to protect their country and their country's kids, and for that matter, adults from. And I think with America, it's like, where do you draw the line with freedom of speech? Just because you have freedom of speech doesn't mean there's freedom of consequence. And it's all subjective, and I think there needs to, like you said, they're lazy, and we need to go back and revise and revisit a lot of this stuff that they're presenting.
Yeah, very good. Jeremy, do you have anything to say about this?
Not really. So when Acid brought up the topic of is it relevant today, my first question was it ever relevant? Because in my personal experience, my parents kind of, let me do whatever, as far as media was concerned, and trusted that their parenting, kept me from driving my car into other people after playing Grand Theft Auto or whatever. So yeah, I don't think it necessarily matters a whole lot. And honestly, the kids who I knew whose parents did, like firmly limit them, you can only watch PG movies, you can only do whatever. They still found a way to do the other things anyway. And it, like, their relationship was strained, I would say. So I think it all comes back to the parents on, that's where everything gets set, and particular ratings are less important.
Yeah, and of course, it's always a political stunt, right? So it's very advantageous for you as a politician to pretend like you care about families and care about kids, and that's your sort of like your talking points. And if you can say something like, and because this is a policy that I support or that I implemented, where I did this thing in order to protect kids, and it's really never really about actually protecting kids. It's just about
It's like F them kids.
It's about
your money. Yep.
progressing your political career, right? And
Right.
then often, so I mean, it's just kind of part of who we are. We are often very preoccupied with protecting the children, and I'm saying that is like, obviously we want to protect kids, right? That's obviously the case, but the rhetoric of protecting the children often gets in the way of actually solving real problems or having real conversations, right? There are conversations that we should be having with our kids that oftentimes are not being said because we're afraid that we're hurting our kids by having these conversations, right? Like, we should be preparing them for life, but we're often afraid of stealing their innocence. Like, that's the thing that you hear all the time.
Yeah.
I want my kid just to be a kid. Well, I mean, that's great. Yeah. But you also have a responsibility as a parent to prepare them for adulthood.
Right.
And they're going to learn this stuff anyway. So it's better for you to be the one that says it to them, so that they actually do have a real problem. They can come to you and they are not ashamed to come to you. But of course, that's often not the case. And this sort of gets perpetuated by politicians as well, right? We want to protect kids from hearing these things. And really, we should be giving them the tools to be able to come to us and have these conversations.
Yeah.
And rather we shame them for wanting to have these conversations.
Right.
Yeah, like I don't have kids, but for my niece and nephew, I'm much less concerned about them consuming mature rated games or horror movies, and much more concerned about the effects of things that are socially acceptable, like social media, and things of that nature.
Yeah, kind of going through that with my son right now. It's like, what? Don't air out your friend's dirty laundry in a text message. Don't post this type of material online or on the internet or anything like that. I don't disagree with that. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And maybe
Facebook
parents,
rating.
yeah, and maybe we need to, like, as a parent, like, we need to be like literate in new technologies. Like, we need to be able to know what's out there so we can teach our kids about what's out there and prepare them for this. And a lot of times parents have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's sort of our responsibility as a parent to go, okay, so what's this new? What's
Right,
TikTok? And what do I need to know about TikTok so I can kind of prepare my kids for this when they're actually using it? And obviously we're going to get left out in the dust because there's always going to be something new
Right.
that we don't know anything about, but we should at least have a good idea of what's out there, but not being like moral panicky about it. Like, stay away from this new thing because it's evil. No. This is the positives and negatives of this new thing that's out there. And I understand that, rather than attempting to create this bubble around your kids, right?
Right.
Because that never works either.
Right. Look at all those pastor kids, those PKs. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't disagree with any of that. What you said. So we just need a parenting instruction manual to come with every baby.
I just think
receipt, right?
Yeah, I gotta return this kid. You passed the 90-day return policy.
Right.
I know it's 13 years, so let me turn my kid back in.
Right. Like a trade.
Yeah, it's just I feel like it just kind of summarize what we're talking about here. It's often, we as parents, we are often very afraid of what we don't understand, and then rather than actually attempting to understand it, we often fall for rhetoric that frames things as evil,
Right.
and when we vote based on that, and the American people tend to vote based on that, right?
Right.
And that's a common mistake that we've made throughout American history, right? We don't understand this thing, and a politician comes out and says, this is a horrible, evil thing that we need to fix, and if you vote for me, I'll fix it. And then we have these very destructive policies that happen.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't think that's a strictly American thing. I think that's any democratic country thing.
Fair enough. I'll accept that as well. All right. I think that's all we have to. What were we talking about today? Okay. Yeah, of course, we were talking about the
Star Trek Online. That's what we were talking about.
we were talking about Star Trek Online, right?
Yeah.
How horrible and evil Star Trek Online is.
Yeah, it's very evil. They have humans breeding with aliens.
It's crazy.
Oh,
yeah.
Make sure you put an M on that one,
That's right.
If only, right?
like Mass Effect.
M for mating.
Right.
Yeah.
They have aliens. What was it? Cramming in, stuffing in. What was it again? Anyways, all right. So that's our show for today. CJ, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate you being hanging out with me.
Jeremy, thank you for being here, even though you were sick. All right. And then Acidtrain, always good to have you as well. I'm Anthony Denard. That is our show. Once again, you can check us out on YouTube, streaming live on Mondays at 7:30 p.m. Central. Also, we come in a podcast form as well. You can check us out there wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Anthony Denard. Goodbye, everybody.
See y'all.